Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Garage Biljon and to my Flood Damaged 968 Cabrio. In the previous episode, we replaced the alternator and the wiring loom, and we proved that the alternator was charging the battery, which means my electrical problem, as far as I know, has been resolved. If you missed that episode, I'll put a link for you up above to catch up. So in the previous episode, I also said that after I did this alternator job, I would tackle the radiator flush and the belt service with a water pump. And while I could do that now, I think I want to actually continue chasing down the electrical gremlins in this car. And you guys have given me a lot of input, very good advice. And basically, they're all centering around the same thing, saying that I probably have bad ground somewhere or that there's stuff disconnected. And one of you guys commented saying that the voltmeter should always show voltage when it's on contact, which this one doesn't. So I think there's something wrong on the dashboard. So instead of doing the belt service and having that bug me for the rest of the week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, however long it's going to take me to get to that problem, I decided I'm going to tackle the electricals. And maybe for some of you that are new to my channel that hasn't seen this car in a lot of detail yet, let me show you the disaster zone that's the interior. So all of this is caked on mud. I cleaned up a little bit already so that I can just sit in this car and not get disgustingly filthy. But there's a lot of issues inside this car, and I think what I want to do is I want to start stripping out this interior, because that'll allow me to get to the wiring loom that's behind the dashboard, and then I can start systematically cleaning every single switch, every single contact, and hopefully by doing that we'll be able to get this car to behave the way it should. So join me in this episode as we start stripping out the interior. Alright, so before we start stripping out the interior, there's one thing I want to do first, and that is see if I can get this top to drop. I haven't tested it yet. I have a fair amount of faith that it will work because all of this stuff was above the waterline. So hopefully this will come down without any issues, but I haven't tested it yet. It might actually not work. The reason I want to do that is because I want a little bit more space in the cabin to work, and having the top off will just allow me to have a bit more freedom for getting in and out of the car. But also it'll allow me to not have to breathe that stinky air the whole time, because otherwise you're in a bit of an enclosed system. So let's get into the car, see if we can get this thing operating. Alright, so if we want to drop the top, the first thing we have to do is we've got to get these handles into the holes and pop them on there. That one's on. And do the same for this one. Let's see if I can get this on. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Like that. And we have to move them down. So this one comes down like this to unlock. That's going well. That one comes down to unlock like that. That's going well. Now we have to put it into its accessory position. And then hopefully if I push the up button, I think. Nothing. Oh, that sucks. Alright, this is not great, but not completely unexpected. So I guess what we'll be doing is I'll be dropping this roof manually. And luckily this car is partially stripped already by the previous guys. So this little bolt that sits in the back corner, and there's also one on that side. We basically just need to turn them out about 3 or 4 turns, and then this should release the mechanism, and then we should be able to drop the car's roof by hand. All right, so we just put a socket, this is a 90mm socket, onto this bolt and loosen it up a little bit. It feels quite tight, to be honest, but hopefully I'm not screwing things up. This feels extremely tight to me, but anyway. We'll do the other side quick. All right, so now that I've got the roof down, this is the passenger side of the car. And what you are seeing here is the bolt I needed to loosen. And there's also one on that side right there. That one came loose quite easily. This one is fighting me. It actually feels like it's going to snap. So I'm not quite sure. I've given this some penetrating oil. Maybe that'll help. We'll see. Right, so that means we are now ready to start stripping out this interior. And the first thing I want to do is take out these seats. This one I think will be fairly straightforward because this is a standard seat with a manual adjustment. The one on that side, let me show you quickly, is a fully electric seat. And if you look at the front here, there's no adjustment arms. There's a hole here through which I can push an Allen key, which I've already done, which normally will allow you to adjust the seat without power. But this thing is so seized up and rusted that this seat is rusted in situ. And that's a problem because I need to get to the bolts that are underneath there and underneath there. So this seat is going to give me a big issue. So I'm going to try and save as much of the seat as I possibly can. I'm going to first of all take off the backrest, and then we will see what we can do with regards to the bottom end. If I can just maybe pry it open from the back all the way forward, that should open up the mechanisms down here, so I can at least see if I can pry a tool into the slots where I need to be. But before I do this one, I want to do that one because that's easy and it allows me space in the cabin to work on this one. Okay, so the passenger side seat is out. It's just held in with 6 Allen bolts like this, 4 at the back, 2 at the front. The plug itself actually looks to be in very good state. It doesn't look like it's seen water, so this was a watertight seal. This side is a bit dirty. What I have discovered, though, which I think is an amplifier, but I'm not 100% sure, and there's another plug down there that doesn't look all the best. So I'm going to take this out of the car. I'm going to disconnect that plug. We'll clean it up. We'll see what it is. Maybe it's still working. I don't know. And then I'm also going to take a vacuum cleaner to this area. As you can see, I'll show you this. I've also collected a whole bunch of screws that was lying on the floor here from when the previous owner was obviously ripping things apart, trying to get this car to work again. Hopefully this is not a bad omen. But we are making good progress. So once this is a little bit cleaner, we can start tackling the driver's side seat. Alright, so I think this can be called a little bit of a result. This is a lot cleaner than I expected I'll get it. I thought I'll just get the worst of the gunk off, but this is actually almost respectable. Now, I'm definitely still taking out these carpets and I'm going to wash them, because if you look down there, you can see all the silt that's hiding underneath the carpet. So this has to come out, but at least this way, it's not going to be such a dirty job. So what I need to do next is take out the center console, and once I've done that, then I've got all the space I need to lean over this tunnel to start dismantling that seat. Alright, so I've got the center console out. I've got the old radio on the floor there. That's going to be thrown away together with the little harness, because I'll be going back to the factory original radio in this car. It doesn't look like it's been too badly butchered. Here and there I see a couple of things, but overall it looks okay. There seems to be an amplifier thing happening, which I think might be what's on the floor there. But for now, I've got all the switches out. I've got the boot off. I've got basically the whole thing empty. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start cleaning up this area. And once that's reasonably respectable, we can start taking apart this seat. Look what I've discovered. A mice nest. There we go. So they've been chewing through this insulating foam that sits on top of the torque tube. I don't know how far they got, so I'm going to suck the stuff up and we'll see what we have to work with. Alright, you can see I've now sucked up all of the nesting material, and it's not too bad, it's not great. You can see there's a couple of gaps there. That's obviously where they got in. It's okay-ish. I'm going to see if I can order up a new one. They're not expensive, they're about 40 bucks if I remember correctly. But what I don't know is whether I can fit this with the torque tube in place. I think it'll fight me. So if you guys have any advice on whether you've done this before with all this stuff in place, let me know. As you can see, I've also been busy off camera. I have not been showing you this work because it's not very exciting to watch me clean minute parts endlessly. This has taken me a couple of hours to get them to this point, but they are really clean now. And you can see even this bellows that came out of the car has been really nicely cleaned, and I've also treated them all with the vinyl and rubber care from Autoglym. I'll probably do it a couple of more times to make sure that they are nicely fed, but I'm really happy with where we are. You can see the mud is all gone. There's no more mud in this thing. It's really nicely cleaned up. I need to buy a new ashtray because the ashtray that came in this car is completely gone. So we'll get that sorted. The seat that came out of the car is not looking all the best. I might clean it and just flog it, obviously telling people what happened to it, that it got wet. There might be people that want to restore the seat. But right next to it, you can see these are the two seats I've bought for this car. They come out of an 89 911. So it's a 3.2 liter with a G50 gearbox. So this is almost identical to those chairs. Slight variations in the way the buttons are set up, but I can live with that. I might even transfer the buttons plates across so that they look exactly the same, but we'll see how we do that. I've been hiding them in the garage. You probably saw them in a couple of shops, but I've been feeding them with a lot of leather care, and they're becoming really nice and supple. So I'll be keeping on feeding them with leather care, and once they are nice and soft, I'll clean them again once more, and then we'll get them to a nice matte finish, and they'll go back into the car. And with that, we have come to the section of the video where I ask you for your help. This, as I said to you before, is a full comfort seat with 8-way adjustability, and it is frozen in its position. I have tried getting the Allen key in the front there. It's stripped. It just turns around. It doesn't move the seat at all. I've given it probably, I would say, 50 revolutions, and the seat just stays where it is. So I know that gear is stripped. It's a plastic gear that can easily strip. Then no matter how I try, I've put some WD-40 in there. I've done all the things I can to get those switches to operate, but they are not operating. So this seat is frozen in its position. So if you've ever had this problem and you've been able to remove the seat without destroying it, I would really like to hear from you. So please put your advice in the comments, and I would be happy to have a discussion and get an understanding for how you solved this problem. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel and leave me a like. This way I know that this is the kind of stuff that you want to see. But until next time, when we continue stripping down this interior, goodbye.